Hello, Exiles. Long time no see. I've been taking a break from YouTube for personal reasons, but this isn't about that. This is about a build that I could honestly say is probably my favorite ever. Not only that, I would go so far as to say it's hardcore viable. We are 96, 0 deaths. Since mapping, I have entered the league mechanic every single zone and collected as many wisps as I could. This build does not want to die, and it kills pretty well. Also, it looks like this. My computer can't really adequately handle it, especially in the recording, so if you see footage of it in the background while I'm talking, sorry, the frame rate isn't as good as it could be. Anyway, what is the build? If you've been on the channel for a bit, you know I love the item Kitava's Thirst. I love doing things with it that involve blowing up corpses and automating the process so it happens in one easy click. This build does that. It does it very well. It does a lot of other things too, like permanent uptime on 75-75 block. In this case, minus 97% extra damage from crits. This is very important this league because the blue wisps in the Wildwood increase crit chance and crit damage, I believe, like crit multi, of the mobs that they empower. So that kind of negates the downside there. Obviously they're tankier, but huge deal to get that. I want to say on even every character this league, at least if you're going to be doing very challenging stuff. I managed to cap my Chaos Res. That's not really a character feature, although it wasn't too bad. My gear isn't particularly fantastic, at least not over here. And that's because we get a decent amount of res from the tree, so we have the open suffixes, even though we, have to get our strength and dex up to par from our gear as well. As you can see, we have a modest amount of armor, we have cap block, everything, determination running, clarity running on, what is it called? Arrogance. Arrogance making it reserve life. If you didn't know this, you can use Eternal Blessing with an aura and still reserve stuff with your life. Eternal Blessing only stops you from reserving other things with your mana, which is a very useful piece of tech in my opinion. Anyway, how does the build do? Well, let's hop over. Damn it. Happening live. I let the game run for like 20 minutes to make sure none of the things I was selling were like in demand, so this wouldn't happen, and here it is happening anyways. This guy could name one wisdom scroll. I'll give it to him right now. Bill the Necromancer. I have no idea what these boots are worth. They're decent item level with 30% move speed fractured on it. I'm gonna go stand over here again. Anyway, let's hop on over to POB and look at what makes it tick. First things first, that is an effective hit pool of 258,000. It is not set to boss, but also it doesn't have endurance charges turned on, nor does it have Molten Shell or Val Molten Shell turned on. That is actually the effective HP pool of this build. I actually have a source of endurance charges. They're usually up, so it's more like 1,000,000, which is really cool. But we're gonna turn that off because that comes from a jewel that is, it's from the new boss, and it's probably not the most consistent thing. I don't even know what that jewel is worth because I found it myself. It's nice though. Anyway, the tree is very simple. We get a lot of mana, but not too much mana. So the thing about the build is Kitava's Thirst triggers every time we spend 100 mana on a skill. This pairs very well with Unearth because it has the fastest base casting time in the game. That is 0.2 seconds. Combine that with something like Corpse Pact, which gives us up to 200% increased cast speed. Yes, we get to that breakpoint very easily, and we sustain. You combine that and you get, I should have done the math on this beforehand, but it's 11.73 casts a second. Each one is 5 corpses. 50 some corpses a second. That gives us a lot of room for chaining DDs because they kind of have a set speed that they go at as well. Each time we cast, 50% chance to spell procs, and then Detonate Dead of Chaining, which is the new part of this build, goes off, and then it continues to explode until it blows up to 8 corpses. Currently in this POB, I have it set to 5 instances. I'm pretty sure we can sustain between 5 and 10, but I wanted to go to the low end. At the low end, POB's reading about 8 mil with the current gear setup. The gear setup is pretty good as far as certain things like gem links are concerned, but we'll get into that in a moment. How do we sustain the build? So generally we do this by scaling 10% chance of recover 10% of mana use a skill, and also our gloves, the Nexus gloves here. At level 50, you can get Aetherwind gloves, which require level 40. They also work. At level 50 is important because it's usually when you swap over to actually playing the build when you're leveling. I have it all detailed here. I have notes in the POB to give you all the information you can need. You won't have to come back to this video again. But for now, I'm going to try to explain everything. Now, if you want to reach true sustainability where you do not have to pop your mana flask to get stuff back, or if you want to reach true sustainability where the skill just kind of goes infinitely, you're going to need something a little more interesting. I believe I have a charm here. Yes, so you can get 4% on this charm here, one of the Primalist nodes from the League mechanic. This is not required. You can actually get it in the game without the League mechanic, but this is probably the cheaper option. You can also get Corpse increased life, and then more regenerating percent mana over 2 seconds when you consume a corpse. All of these things help a lot. The node that you kind of need if that's not around, say if this were a different league, you can get it from the Watcher's Eye. This Watcher's Eye is very good. I highly recommend this for the build. You get reduced extra damage taken from critical strikes, and then that recover percent chance on your clarity. This is so important. I can't stress enough for the League mechanic. You can invalidate the damage effect of blue wisps if you get enough crit damage reduction dealt to your character. Until you get that, I recommend you anoint Sanctum of Thought. We get the rest of it from our shield. My shield sucks, but that's okay, because honestly the build doesn't need it. It's mostly just a bunch of block, which combined with the offering and offering percent chance, which we get from the mastery and Eldritch Implicits on our gear, we get to 75-75 block, which is a big part of why the build just kind of never dies. Additionally, the build runs Recoup. Recoup is kind of the red-headed stepchild defensive layer in the game. I think most people don't really like it. This build does it a little better than most. Generally, you want to pair it with Mind Over Matter, which is already kind of a tall order because now you're scaling your life, your mana, and all this stuff, all these points being invested. It's a lot. The thing is, the way Recoup works is you get damage, or you get health back over 4 seconds, 3 with this mastery, which is very good. You get health back when you take damage from hits. What's important is that the damage does not have to be dealt to your life. So the damage that's diverted to your mana also gets added to the Recoup total, and the damage dealt to your energy shield also gets added to the Recoup total. So if you have energy shield and mana and you get hit by a really big hit, you're probably going right back up to 100 health in 3 seconds. Maybe even faster than that because, well, we have a lot of energy shield. We have almost 2,000. And one of the reasons we're able to do that is we make use of this mastery here. I think this is one of the more underrated masteries in the game, personally. It doubles the armor and energy shield we get from our equipped body armor, as long as the rest of our gear have armor and ES. And lucky for us, Kitava's Thirst is an armor ES base. That's what makes this work. We have no life rolls, just balls to the wall, armor, ES modifiers in the prefix slots. You want to go as hard as that. You want to go as hard as possible on that. And what that ends up doing is it gives us this massive ES pool from nothing, pretty much no investment on the tree. And because we also get some ES regen from Essence Glutton and other things, and we have so much block, it's generally always there in some capacity. Only degens really challenge that, and even if our ES goes to 0, we're still very, very hard to kill. Because when you factor in Mind Over Matter and our life pool, that says 4708, our actual raw life is probably over 6k, right? It's 40% more, essentially, with Mind Over Matter working the way it is. It's just an incredible amount of tank, and honestly, it's fantastic to play with. Our max hits aren't the best. That's kind of the only issue. In a boss scenario, there are slams that you can't tank. That said, there are attacks that hit rapidly, like Cyrus Beams and the like, where our block chance will carry the hell out of us through that. There's a lot of things that will kill characters that can take really big single hits that will not kill this character because we have so much block chance. So, How do we make it all go? What makes it all good? More importantly, if you've seen the build before, what has changed since then? A big thing about it is Unearth is now in a 6-link, at least in the final stage. You probably don't do this until you're well into maps. You've got your Uber Ascendancy, and you can afford a level 3 Empower and a level 3 Enhance. Getting both of these together right now, corrupted in trade, is half a divine, if that. It's rather cheap. I have the better versions because obviously I've been playing the hell out of this character. You do this, you get to, well, you do this and it gets you right to that 100 mark. You kind of use inspiration as a lever at that point to get the reduced cost down so you can have it exactly how you want it. I could honestly probably go a level higher on inspiration. I should, because the more the better. Archmage is just there to increase the cost, GMP to get more corpses. More importantly, though, that Empower, that Enhance, all of the combining stats. We have level 86 Bone Archer corpses with, and it says on the gem, 66% increased maximum life. Through other effects on the tree and charms and whatnot, it's actually 112%. We have a tremendous amount of life. I actually have it here in the configuration. 127,310 life on those Bone Archer corpses. This is why our DPS, even though I'm just showing the secondary damage of the corpse explosion, is over 8 million. And that's the low end. That's like before you've spun up. When you really spin up, that number is between where it is and twice as much, if not more. I'm actually not sure what the top end is, or if there's like a corpse consumption cap that goes on with the skill, but it's a very decent amount of damage. I'm running super juiced maps and I'm really not getting slowed down at all. I'll have the occasional really, really tanky mob and it'll still be dead in 5 seconds or less. I can't gush enough about this. Especially, I mean, 1 million effective hit pool. It's silly. The boss DPS is Uber Pinnacle boss. Not bad. The boss DPS is a little worse. It's fine. I have a video here of me killing Eater. It was a fight done in less than 2 minutes. That was done just recently. I believe I just hit 96 and put in the jewel and everything. What is the build good for? It's easier to ask what the build isn't good for, and I don't have an answer for you, because everything I've tried so far, it has been pretty good for. Probably Ubers is the ceiling, and honestly, I don't even know if that's true, because I haven't tried an Uber on it. It's a ranged character with really good tank. Its only weakness would be really, really big one-shots that generally you're not supposed to get hit by anyways. The DPS is pretty good. It can go much higher. This isn't terribly optimized. I have big rooms for improvement. Unearth can have, just off the top of my head, another 2 levels, which puts the corpses to 88, which would be a huge bonus. So there's a lot of room yet that I have not properly explored. I hope to at some point. No promises. I reached a point, right, where I was like, all right, I have to get the build guide out, because how long do people play the league for? The build has a lot of places it can go yet. Obviously, there's like really good equipment that I haven't gotten to yet. Things like a +2 amulet, a +2 weapon. These all add more levels to Unearth, which increases the base corpse level, which increases the corpse life exponentially. Additionally, I could get more charms with corpse life on them. There's more places where I can get just % increased damage, which honestly, I don't think the tree has a terrible amount of it. It's like, what, 681%, which is good. It's not the most amazing, but it's pretty good. Right? Anyway, I just wanted to say at the end here, sorry I haven't been very active on YouTube. I took a little bit of time for personal health reasons. I hope to do more stuff. Obviously, here's a build guide that's good. I want to say I was waiting to do a build that would be as good as Dominating Blow, because I really haven't felt like revisiting it since the Guardian changes. This is better. If you thought my Dominating Blow build was good, try this. It is actually better. It's faster. You don't have to rely on minions. The spin-up time is practically non-existent, because honestly, the damage out the gate is good, but if you keep it going for a few seconds, it does actually get much higher. It's just a fun build. As much money as you can see invested on this character, you take away a lot of that, this build will still run P16s just fine. If you're on the 4-link Unearth setup with just Detonate Dead of Chain Reaction and the whole thing in the Kitava's Thirst Helmet, it still clears a T16. It'll get you, like, in a league start scenario, it'll get you through to the bosses just fine. This build could get nerfed really hard, and I think it's inherently destined to, because we're going to lose the Wildwood Ascendancy stuff here. But it could get nerfed really hard, and I dare to say it'll be just fine. You might lose a couple million damage, maybe even 3 million points of damage, but it will still be one of the better clear builds out there, period. That's a bold statement to make, I know. It's probably not as fast as a bow character, like Lightning Arrow, but I'm pretty sure it's tankier. This build is absurd. I don't know what to say. It's I'm 96 levels up, 0 deaths, and I have been playing like an asshole. Like a big asshole, just doing the stupidest shit. I have Expedition on the tree. It's the big bomb. I'm running it constantly. I just switched to Breach Legion, running all of that with maximum juice, never dying. I think there's been a few times where I saw my HP drop pretty far, total, in the entire playthrough, where like I got a little bit scared. And even then it was fine because it immediately shot back to full, and I had plenty of time to get out to safety, and it was fine. The only things that scare me, I want to say, on this build are really powerful degens, because if your mana gets to 0, things can become problematic. But other than that, you have tons of time to react to degens, because Mind Over Matter is one of the better tools for dealing with degens. Anyway, thanks for watching. I rambled quite a bit in this, but as you can tell, I'm very excited about this build. It's incredibly strong. I hope you give it a try. And until next time, Exiles and Bastard viewers, hopefully I can get the guys together and we can do another video in the other fashion of the channel's content sometime soon.